So yeah, I'm excited to see where we'll be as a church in a year from now, especially from a music standpoint as we grow the musicians and the singers. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
And you know, I think if anybody, I mean, if you've ever been on short-term missions, you know the experience. At first, you enter into a new culture, and it's cool. It's like exotic, it's fresh, it's, you know. But after a while, there comes a time when you start, all the good intentions wipe away, and you realize that there are things about that culture that just rub you the wrong way. And for me, I think about food. So I grew up in Evanston. I mean, I worked and went to school in Evanston, and there was this Nepalese restaurant called Mount Everest. And a lot of my Indian friends would want to go there and eat. And I was like, first time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And that was nice. I could enjoy it. But the thing about it was, after eating there multiple times, I didn't want to admit this, but I didn't like Indian food. The texture was weird, and I didn't want to say that because that would be so wrong, you know. And yeah, now my friend Vivek's here. Oh, he walked in at exactly the right time. But here's the thing. Right? I had this moment of clarity one day, and it was eating this dish called palak paneer, the spinach cheese dish. And I realized, here's the click that happened to me, was I realized that I needed to let go of my desire for hard textures and just embrace the texture of the food and let the herbs and spices, as crazy pungent as they were, let them just wash over me. And here's the thing, it was an experience of, I felt like I understood Indian food for the first time. And it was this amazing experience, and I ate there literally once a week for 2 years, their buffet, and I would just gorge myself. And I don't think I'm an expert in Indian food by any means, but I think that was a moment. And actually, I think that happens in worship when we experience other cultures. It's great for I remember as a student in undergrad, I'm like, man, it's African Heritage Month. I'm gonna have get some gospel music. But if I was really honest, if I actually was exposed to it on a daily basis, there were things about it that I didn't understand, and that rubbed me the wrong way. And I had a similar moment with gospel music. There's some things about the gospel tradition I love. The stuff that makes it mainstream. So the Israel Houghton, or maybe some of Kirk Franklin's hit that cross over. But there's some things, the lyrical content of some songs, that were really confusing to me. The song that we're going to sing in a minute is, we're blessed in the city, we're blessed in the field, we're blessed when we come, when we go. Okay, that's cool. We cast down every stronghold, sickness, poverty must cease. And I remember I would sing that, and actually that doesn't really get me the same way that Let Your Glory Fall in This Room really got me. And then there's a bridge of the song that we're going to sing in a minute. It says, late in the midnight hour, God's going to turn it around. And I remember I was in the gospel choir in college, and they were it's so into that. And I was like, what does that even mean? And then we'd sing that song, we'd sing that line over and over again in different ways and variations. And I really had a moment of confusion, and I had an epiphany moment with gospel music, just like with Indian food. And it happened at a concert that was led by gospel artist named Hezekiah Walker. And he was singing this song, and it was called Faithful is Our God. And there's a line in there that at first really rubbed me the wrong way. It said, I'm reaping the harvest God promised me. Take back what the devil stole from me. And no joke, he sang that line over and over again for about 20 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. He just repeated that over and over again. And I first of all, I don't understand what that even really means. What does it mean that the devil has stolen things? And what does it mean to take back? But as we were singing, he just kept up leading. And he literally, I felt like he took the whole congregation of folks at this concert, and he said, I want you to sit on these words until I tell you to stop. To reap the harvest, God, to take back what the devil stole from me. And as I was experiencing that, it was this feeling of, I think I understand from the folks and my friends who are in this gospel choir who come from communities where they have felt that they have been that the devil has stolen things from them, whether it was their resources and opportunities, where they had to struggle with oppression in their homes and neighborhoods. And growing up in the suburbs, I didn't have to deal with that. But what does it feel like when you've just felt like you've been oppressed from all sides, and you feel there's nothing to do but to cry out to God and ask him to take back everything that was stolen from me? And I think something clicked and I understood. And even though that wasn't my response in worship, I could see how in some communities that was their response when suffering and violence and poverty and racism was such a prevalent experience in communities. the only response that I think the Bible calls for is that God is sovereign over all things, over all powers and principalities. Stuff that we learn at TEDS, but I think I got to experience that through the ministry of Hezekiah Walker. And so I think for me, the journey of worship has been not just understanding the ways that I have responded in worship, but actually to have other people's responses become my own and experience what does it mean for the whole body of Christ in all its diversity, in all the different denominational, cultural experiences, situational experiences, to respond to God, who has revealed himself in Jesus Christ. And Andy Park, who is a Vineyard worship leader, he talks about the worship leader as a prophet, as a priest, as somebody who takes people into the presence of God. So there's no worship leader in the scriptures, but I think those offices, have been really informative to me. And we're going to move into the third phase of as I have experienced different styles of worship, cultures, and not just the styles themselves, but the stories that they represent and the communities and the people that represent. What does it look like for me as a worship leader, as a minister of the gospel, someone who for 7 years mentored college students? What does it look like for me through my music ministry to help people to get to apprehend a bigger revelation of God? We talk about that in Christian worship. Like, what does it mean? God's revelation is full and diverse and dynamic, bigger than we can comprehend. But we need to grow in our apprehension of God's revelation. Before we get there, I want to offer that song, and as I share about inviting people into, basically this is now the process of, now that I've tried Indian food, this Korean suburban guy is going to try to cook Indian food. That is crazy. In the same way, I think it's an amazing gift enough to be able to eat and enjoy the beauty of gospel music and to experience God's revelation through that. But what a challenge it is to cook. So that's what we as a community are going to try to do, and I want to invite you to. So if you know the song, you can sing with us. You can stand if you want.
It's a standing song.
Yes. This song, it's hard to do, I think it's hard to do a coffee house environment.
You can just do whatever you need to do, move in place, take it easy, take off your coat, Don't take your earrings off.
I'll sing one time and then you can join. We're blessed in the city, we're blessed in the fields, we're blessed when we come and when we go. We cast down every stronghold, sickness and poverty must cease, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. We're blessed in the city, we're blessed in the field, we're blessed when we come and when we go. We cast down every stronghold, sickness and poverty must cease, for the devil is defeated. We're blessed. We're blessed in the city, in the field. We're blessed in the when we come. We're blessed when we come. And when we go, we cast down every sickness and poverty, for the devil is defeated. We are blessed. And another part of gospel music is call and response, and that we're just proclaiming that we have been blessed by God. He has given us everything. This is Jesus Christ. So I want you to repeat her after me. We're just going to sing blessed. Everybody sing blessed. Blessed. 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 All right, nice job. Now listen. Here. Late in the midnight hour, God's gonna turn it around. It's gonna So we could do the song for 20 minutes, but now you can see how that song can go for 20 minutes. All right, you can have a seat. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.